What is going on, guys? Hopefully, you guys are all well, trading safe. Let's talk about some Bitcoin on the high time frames. This is something I did a live stream on with some of the guys in the Discord last night. Yeah, I want to make sure I got a public video out. It was one of those where we just kind of really informally went over it, so I want to make sure that while I'm covering it here, we really are organized. And so what you're looking at here, just to jump right in, is your quarterly levels. And you can see these ranges are not set up for the value areas. They are set up for the overall high and low of the range. Okay, so it's just something to note. That way you can see the overall swing action of the range, and then I've got them divided where each quarter starts. So this is currently quarter two, coming to an end here at the end of June. What I want to highlight for you is last time we formed this type of structure right here, and you guys have seen me talk about this, where in 2019 I'm comparing this dip to that. And so from here we came down and we actually tagged the point of control and set it in, which is where the most volume was done in this range, which made sense with the pump that we got off of it, where buyers were waiting, and we tagged the what would at the time have been considered a naked point of control, and untapped range POC, which is essentially the range of this entire giant descending triangle at that time, because it did take a little over 3 months. It was quite a bit. Now, you will notice that that is what held us down going forward, and then as soon as we lost the POC of our next quarter, down we went. And where did we end up? We ended up pretty close to the NPOC here on this right here of our overall yearly open range, quarter one of, I believe it was 2019 here when we were at the lows. So this was also a one-to-one move of this structure. So there was a lot of like Fibonacci confluence along with the range volume there. So you can see that it just dipped back into this old range. And really you would have been trying to ladder into this probably anywhere from 4,200 down to, at the time, 3,300. You wouldn't have got all your bids filled, but you would have gotten bids. So let's take a look at the current price action and where we're at now, because what you will notice is that these POCs do matter, and we do have a few that are untapped going forward, and this is not one of them. This has been tapped, actually, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this guy because we do not need him. So you have a couple of untapped point of controls. Now you'll see that I have two up here. I am using the one from our quarterly range, but then if you were to zoom out and turn on your VPVR of the overall move from the Corona lows up to this, it does come in around 56,300, give or take a few dollars. So in reality, I am giving this like 56,300 to about $58,000. And that should line up with the monthly level that I showed you guys in the last video, where I said, you know, hey, we have produced a monthly and a quarterly level at our high, 58,822. That will be monthly and quarterly resistance. But the most important level on the chart is going to be that June open, because we were talking about if we can get above the June open by the end of June, you would have established a monthly support. And so where do we tie that into this type of analysis? And if you guys didn't watch the last video, this is what I'm speaking about here. So this is your June open, right? This is the key level on the chart, $37,253.50. Because then what you're looking for is something like this, where we establish that this pops green by the end of the month, right? And you establish something like this, where you get like a monthly support. You can rally back up to your monthly resistance, give or take, and then just kind of range from there. We can go from there. So a lot of people are ready to say the bull market's over. A lot of people are ready to say that it's not over. You know, I'll tell you guys, like I told everyone last night, no one truly knows. We have information that we're taking in every day, and that's going to lead us closer to an answer. You guys know that my bias is that we are doing something similar to 2019 here, that this was a top, and I'm using time on that because if you guys notice, these ranges get shorter and shorter, not the quarterlies, but the actual market structure ranges, and price was accelerating faster and faster. We did make that longer range, then we have a much longer distribution phase, and that does tend to play out for a while. So my take on it is that even if this pumps all the way back up into this naked point of control here, which is on the table, you know, we've seen it before where it comes back to it on a quarterly basis. That doesn't mean we're going to new all-time highs. In fact, we're just heading up there. It's just an area of interest. It's just a target, guys. So that's how I'm looking at it. And this is what I meant by these are high time frame charts that you guys can use for confirmations, because now you've got really large ranges and you can actually put in levels on the charts based on what you're seeing. You know, you can use volume for that, like this right here. You could turn around and just say, okay, here is basically my value area low. We need to get above 38.6 and hold it, however you want to do it, whatever confirmation you need. Now for right here, I was telling them, because we were talking about levels to the upside, what we should be watching. Obviously, you have this daily level. And then I do think that this daily level right here is important. It's right around 49.7. The reason I think it's so important is because that is the entrance to our structural value area low here. So the value area low of this overall move. You guys know that I track everything by time and price, which now I am seeing some of my time-based ranges, like the weekly ranges, are entering other people's analysis. They know who they are. It's a group I used to work for, so that analysis always ends up back there, and they always end up using it. So yeah, right here, guys. So you'll notice this is your February range right here, your February breakout range. You know, getting back into that 50K region, you can see it's coming in right at $50,000. That 49.7 region where this daily level is going to be super important. So these are the levels to have on your charts, because you can't just assume that because we get above, let's say this is 40,500, that we're going to make it all the way back into this point of control. You do still have to have some triggers going forward. Like we'd have to clear 50,000 before we could get to 56 and 58. And as simple as that sounds, it's very easy to get ahead of ourselves and to get sucked into the YouTube or the TikTok people that are saying it has to go to these moon and doom targets. All right. So as of right now, nothing has happened. I will tell you, to the downside, the only level I was watching, this is something I was talking about with Max and a few other guys, is I'm watching this daily here, closing below this on a daily basis and taking out the last daily level where we settled up essentially would not look all that bullish to me. Now, you obviously did have an SFP of the overall low here of not only the range, at least I don't need another point here. That's 31,610. Closers below that don't look good. But then again, if you want a really wide stop, you can just say, okay, well, we swept the lows of the range right here at 29,800. I mean, is that my invalidation? It's really up to you and your risk. For me, you guys know that I did mention I took a starter position off the swing failure and the acceptance back into this structural range right here, which we had keyed up for you from December. Once we found our way back into this range, then yeah, I took my entry. But again, that was a beginner position, and it's not something I'm willing to expand on until we take out the June open. Once June open has been reclaimed, and if we establish that monthly support, so it does look like then we will begin to range up into this area, yeah, I'm willing to put on a little more risk and maybe take a few more long trades. But until that time happens, it's just not something I'm interested in. Yeah, I mean, that's it, guys. This is as easy as it's going to get. Watching the quarterlies, waiting for confirmations. Now, if we lose this level, I should highlight there is a naked point of control to the downside, and that's what we'd hit before, if you recall. And these point of controls do get filled. I have not seen one that wasn't tapped. I mean, if you want to call this one untapped, you could, I guess, but it pretty damn well tried. It's at 19,228, and that's been one of our targets basically here. Yearly pivot coming in just above it. It's right here above this one range where we finally do have a little bit of support coming in. It's not huge support, to be honest with you. It's not something that's massive. You lose that, and I do think we're going to about 13,880. That $14,000 to $15,000 level seems like the next place I would want to get involved. And that support really goes all the way down to like $12,000. Yeah, that's it, guys. Losing the lows here, not a good look. For me, losing this daily would not look good. I'm willing to let this position get stopped out. It's not a high leverage position or anything. It's not even a lot of money in my consideration for a swing trade. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where the setup from last night I missed because we were doing a live stream, and then I went to bed. I turned my computer off and went to bed because I've been having trouble with TradingView. It's actually, I had to rearrange all of my charts this morning because it's kicking out all my ranges. I think I have too much on my object tree right now. But the daily 80-20 that I've explained to you guys before, you can find a video on it in Axia Trading. Just literally Google Axia Trading 80-20. It's like 5 years old, but it explains to you that when we close outside the daily value area high and find acceptance back in, you'll float with an 80% likelihood to the daily value area low, which did end up playing out. And so, yeah, it's pretty neat. I think I promised you guys an alternative to fib pools, so I'll do that with you real quick. Let me turn off these quarterly ranges really fast here so we can talk about that, and I'll get you guys on your way. This isn't really an area that I'm all that interested in getting involved. I should highlight that because the only reason I'm saying that is it's right dead smack in the middle of the range right now. not something I'm interested in. We could take a look at our monthly range real quick here. You guys know that the monthly range was something that we were trying to hold last I checked, at least before bed. And so you can see that we've come up to the EQ of the monthly range, and we are now at the value area low of the monthly range. And so this is something right here to bear in mind. You know, losing this range wouldn't look good. And lastly, the weekly range was coming in, kind of overlapped on it. And so let's see where it's shaped up over the morning hours now that we can update it. And yeah, it has cycled higher actually, and it looks like a full rotation in order here. So yeah, you get your weekly POC and your value area low of your monthly range right here. So yeah, bounce territory for sure. Losing again these levels down here, like 31.6 on a daily closure, looks bad. If you wanted to extend that down to the swing failure pattern, you could. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. We did chat for a few hours last night. You could, but yeah, let's talk about some fibs and what you can do with these giant quarterly candles. So these quarterly candles are very interesting. Something I used to do, it's like an old trick, is let's say that, excuse me, we had a massive retrace or a massive candle, and then we retrace the whole thing. Like right here, the question is, how high up into this candle do we actually retrace? You know, so what you'll do is pull your fibs on that right here. And so you would say, okay, we had this huge candle, and so I want to know exactly how far down we went on it. And the same with like you can do it like a 6 month, and these are really just designed for high time frame candles, guys. You can do it on the low time frames and it does work, but I would recommend sticking to the high time frames. That's where they're going to be more valid. Yeah, I think it was, yes, 3 month here, and then I've got the 3 month dialed up for the upside as well, if you recall. So I've got both of these candles. So we want to see exactly what kind of retrace we're getting here, and then we will go down to like a daily, and you guys can actually take a look and see how well respected it is. What you would be looking, oh, we're in log scale. What you would be looking for here is a move back into that 50K region, which if you recall was the February breakout. So that's why it was such an important level, and it remains such an important level. So the golden pocket of that is there. Now if we come over here to this, you can see how nice this one is, where we take the fibs based on the last 3 month candle where it was that last major pump, and we want to know what the retrace is going to be like, and you can see how well the golden pocket catches it here. Our 382 is beautiful, our 0.5, our 236 is coming in nicely. I didn't even look at the 133 because there's just not that much price action down here, to be honest with you. But yeah, well respected here on the way up, and you know that's the beauty of using candles like that, you know, using the high time frame candles. So you'll notice it doesn't actually come from the swing low. What it does come from is the beginning of this quarterly range, though, because that was the candle we were tracking. So if you were to turn on those ranges one more time, you'll notice that this is coinciding with that. So I believe that was, we'll just turn them all on because we can. And there you go. You can see how well that gets it. And so now you're just taking that one expansion candle and you're actually just tracking everything. It was also probably the high volume candle where we got our breakout here. So if you're into volume, you know, you'd have that as well. So then the fibs, they just play out so well. You can see how Bitcoin respected them the whole way through. So that's all I wanted to show you guys. It's really simple stuff. This is already a 13-minute video. This wasn't really necessarily for TA. This was more for just showing you guys how I'm looking at the market, and overall, guys, still watching, you know, the June open, but also really just kind of keeping an eye on the naked point of control from this overall quarter right here, this price action where we were really accelerating to the top. You left some stuff right here. So if we do dump, this is a target, you know, all the way down to the bottom of it, and the bottom of this range comes in at 10.5. I don't think that'll happen, but you never know. So if we can get above and make this, you know, some kind of a accumulation, you know, and this becomes accumulation, we get back into this range here, you know, find your way above that 50K level as well, you can then start talking about these naked point of controls up at the highs of the range. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this and you found it useful, and I will catch you in the next video.